Welcome to the info session about Interreg Europe. This info session is organized together with the Committee of the Regions, and thank you for allowing us to do the session together and being our partner for many years now. The session about Interreg Europe, an online info session, is dedicated to the ones who need to get an update about the program. And indeed, it's a good time to get an update. It's the beginning of the year, and the program was already approved by the Commission last year, and there were some important things happening last year, like the first call launched and the policy platform services were running. So now is the good time to get an update and to see what is coming this year, and indeed how you can how can you get involved in the interregional cooperation and benefit from the Interreg Europe program. Our online info session will last about 1 hour and a half, and it will be me, Irma Astrauskaite. I'm in charge of communication at Interreg Europe program, who will moderate the session. And together with me, I have several colleagues who will give various presentations related to our program. We will start with a welcome and introduction. We will invite our program director, Erwin Siweris. Erwin, you are here with us. Good morning. And you will talk. Good morning, Erwin. And you will talk about why cooperation matters. Together with me, I also have Nicolas Singer. And Nicolas Singer, good morning, Nicolas.
Good morning, everybody.
Nicolas Singer is the head of unit in charge of the projects and the policy learning platform, and he is there to present you what you can expect indeed this year from the second call of proposals related to the project. And we also have Elena Ferrario, who is part of the program and working for the policy learning platform, and she will present you what policy inspiration, solutions, and expert advice you can get via the policy learning platform. Good morning, Elena.
Good morning. Good morning. Hi.
Yes, great to have you during our webinar. Before we go into the agenda and listen to the presentations, and you can see that also on the agenda there will be sessions where you, our participants, will be able to ask questions, and this you can do via the Slido. We will use the tool, and if you go to the application slido.com, you put a hashtag Interreg Europe, and you will end up in the screen dedicated to our event. And there you can ask the questions to us, to all the speakers. And as well, we will run several polls. So you are welcome to answer to the questions and to interact with us. Indeed, already now, for the ones who already got it, you can see that there are several questions that are live. Several questions related to how familiar you are with the program. You can also tell what challenges your region has and also what you expect from the event. So do not hesitate and be active, answer to those questions, and we'll look into them immediately after the first video. And the first video is the greeting words from our managing authority. It's Hauts-de-France region. It's the region where the Interreg Europe program is hosted. And ahead of the managing authority, Wetzel wanted to greet you all. And here, let's watch a very short video with her welcoming words.
Hello,
A really warm welcome from my side. It is great that you can organize the info session with the Committee of Regions, and it's already the third time we do so. As representative of the Hauts-de-France region and managing authority of the Interreg Europe program, I'm really happy that there's so high interest in the interregional cooperation program. It's the project funding, but also the policy learning platform services. Last year, the program was approved. The first call was organized, and we had 72 projects selected, which will run from this year on. The policy learning platform continues to organize peer reviews and offers a lot of thematic content. I think it's the right moment for an update from the program. There will be the second call launched soon, and a lot of possibility to get support from the experts involved in the policy learning platforms. I think in this area of change, it's more important than ever to cooperate, to learn from others, and to see how to tackle the important challenges ahead of us. And I think from a regional perspective, cooperation with others is key. I wish you really nice exchanges and see you soon.
As Anne Wetzel was saying, that cooperation is the key. And indeed, cooperation is at the core of our info session today. Erwin, you will be soon talking about why indeed this cooperation matters and introduce the program. But before we enter into your presentation, let's have a look what our participants say and what they expect from our session. The first question we asked to them if they are familiar with the Interreg Europe program, and we can see that 44% of those who are attending today are familiar with the program. 30% say not really, and 25% say that somewhat they know a little bit about us. Do those results surprise you, Erwin?
Yes, what should I answer? It's half. So I think it's a good number. 40% have some experience, the other not yet. And even for those who have experience, we have some changes in the program. So it's anyway important to stay tuned and follow carefully the sessions with my colleagues after me. So I think for all, the information session will be very interesting and very useful.
Yes, let's have a look to the second question. And we asked what is the most interesting indeed for our participants of this info session. 90% of them say that they are eager to know more about the project funding and calls for proposals. 71% they want to get information about Interreg Europe program. 68% want to network and connect with people from other regions, and 25% want to know more about the expert services and policy advice. And there is 0 who are not interested in any of the topics. And that's, I think, the great result, because we will cover all those topics in the upcoming 1 hour and a half. And the third question we asked what our participants expect from the session. And we can see that information is the biggest word in blue on the screen. And we also have knowledge, learn about the second call, details about the second call, understand what is Interreg Europe, learn about the project lines to get inspiration, more details about the project funding, networking, to get a big picture of Interreg Europe. We can see now that information about the call and the process, it's on one of the highlights, and this is what we will be talking today. But Erwin, the first presentation is about you and your objective with the presentation indeed to bring everyone to the big picture of Interreg. We can see this is also is something the participants expect from the session. So that's the role of your presentation, to really introduce Interreg Europe for the ones who know and for the ones who don't know us yet. So it's floor to you, Erwin.
Yeah, thank you, Irma, and a warm welcome also from my side. I should share my presentation, and yes, I have the right to share my presentation. Yeah, you saw in the figures, there's a big burden, information about the program, information about the call. Even I saw enlightenment as a request for this session. I'm not sure if we can deliver all the requests of which were mentioned this morning, but we will do our best. First, my session is about why interregional cooperation matters, and I would like to give you a few, the framework of the program, a few information pillars before my colleagues, which are much more in the details, will continue after me, give you all the information required. And for sure, they will do their job to satisfy the need to get enlightened by this session this morning. So a few principles. Interregional cooperation is part of the European territorial cooperation strand called strand C. You see, we have in Interreg 4 strands: cross-border strand, transnational strand, then the strand C, interregional cooperation, and then the strand D for outermost regions. In the strand C, this is part of the family where we are located. You see, our brothers and sisters are URBEC, who deals with city development. Interreg helps the interregional cooperation program, the Interreg programs, to exchange with each other. And ESPON is a program for studies, helping the regions to get dedicated studies on issues on a regional interest. But here we're talking about Interreg Europe, and I give you the further info on our program. We are the biggest program within the family. You saw in the family about 500 million euro are in the group of the 4 programs. We have been allocated around 380 million euro. For the cooperation with all regions. You see all European countries, EU countries cooperate, plus Norway, plus Switzerland. And we're working in all 4 toppings of the EIDF regulation: smart, green, connected, social, citizens, governments. There are further details on the topics, but Nico will explain you at a later stage. We support exchange of experience. Regions should learn from each other. We should not reinvent the wheel. And we have 2 major pillars how we do this, how we allow regions to learn, to exchange, to increase their capacities. One is the project side, and I saw from the figures that most of you are interested on the next call for project proposals. So information will be delivered. Here, just for the newcomers projects, we allow regions in Europe to group together 5, 6, 8, 10 to exchange on a dedicated problem with a period of 4 years. And however, with clear results coming out of the project and policy improvements which have to be approved. Further information later on. And then we have the policy learning platform. Here also my colleague Elena will give you further information. Here a new tool which allows regions to have quick access to good practices we have discovered within the program, but also outside the program, for the regions, to help the regions to improve their policy with other tools, and further information also later in this session this morning. Just a few further information on the projects I mentioned already. The aim is policy improvement. That's the reason why the beneficiaries or the main target group for the projects are the policymakers, because we want to change something on the ground. And for this, we need the policymakers in to be to raise their voice, say what is the problem, what they need to exchange, what they need to learn. And then, of course, we ask them also to implement the policy changes. I mentioned already how we work, get inspiration, getting to know policy solutions, getting to know what works, but also getting to know what did not work in other regions and learning from there. And then exchange of experience already mentioned here. I mentioned already that the projects run for 4 years. For the policy learning platform, also a few pillars via see where I start in this youth circle. We have Meet the Community. We have more than, I think, 20,000 people in our community, people who have policy experience, who have something to share, people who want to share, and people also who want to learn from each other. So it is already a great source from Interreg, interregional cooperation, Interreg Europe people. Then we have an expert team of 10 experts, if I'm not wrong, 10 or 12 experts dedicated in the thematic areas the program is working in. They have the knowledge of the issue they are working in, but they have also policy experience. So we bridge in a way with these experts the gap between science and policy level. And here these experts are there to provide the regions with quick solutions for their problems. But again, this is also further explained later on in the session. Then comes the final answer to the ultimate question of the beginning, why interregional cooperation matters. And here the answer is because it's worth it. You see here a few figures we have in the previous programming period, and the programming period is still running. A quarter of all projects which we founded in the period 2014-20 are still closing down. And we have so far been reported that more than 20,000 people have learned policy solutions, are able and do share them in the organization, and do their part to do the policy improvements. As I mentioned already, we asked you to prove that there are policy improvements, and we have here around 1,000 policy improvement already reported. And what we also asked to implement the policy improvement reported, but also to implement and do investment based on what you have learned. And you see the figures that we have more than 1.3 billion euros mobilized based on Interreg Europe projects to be mobilized in investment in the regions on the ground. And then if you compare what we have put in these projects, and you see the figure down here in gray, 280 million euros funding from Interreg Europe, and we triggered 1.3 billion euro on investment. If you put this in a relation, you can say that 1 euro invested in Interreg Europe triggers around 5 euros of investments on the ground. So you see, Interreg Europe, interregional cooperation matters because it's worth it. Regions learn to do smart investments. Every euro invested in the exchange of experience, learning from each other, is a well investment on the ground. I think with this, I close my session. I wish all of you a very informative session following my intervention. My team is here to support you, and I hope I see some of you in some of project applications, and deadline is beginning of June. Nico will explain you further. Having many good applications from your side, and looking forward to see some of you in the first seminar of the approved project for the second call. With this, I give the floor back to Irma.
Thank you very much, Erwin, for presenting the program. And as we could see on Erwin's slides, the program is covering all policy areas. And you can see now on the slide, on the Slido slide, all the colorful lines that present indeed the 6 main topics. All the priority areas are divided. which is smart, green, connected, social, citizens, and governments. And now we have a poll running on the Slido, and you can tell us which topic interests you most, and also what are the challenges your region is facing. And in the other presentations together with other colleagues, we will try to see how we as the program can help you. But Erwin, you should not run because we have a question for you. 2023, it might be a year of a change for the program. Could you give us maybe some insights how and what is this change the Interreg Europe program is expecting, or what might happen?
Coming back for the future, the partner states agreed that the Commission and the managing authority should evaluate way to extend the program area. And we are at the moment discussing with the Commission and with the new countries concerned, and we have 5 Balkan countries. We have, so I hope to get all the 5 correctly together. We're talking about Serbia, North Macedonia, Albania, Bosnia-Herzegovina, but we also then furthermore discuss with Moldavia and Ukraine if they are willing to join the Interreg Europe program. If everything goes well, we may approve the extension of the program in June of this year, and then would have the possibility for the EU countries, for 7 EU countries, to participate in the next call, in the 3rd call for proposals, which will be most likely be open beginning of next year. What we also have then to discuss with the partner states is that we open a possibility for already approved projects, meaning the first call projects, but also see opportunities for 2nd call projects to add on at a later stage partners from these new countries. So this is always in the making. Nothing is decided yet, but we are in preparation of this. And as I said, the partner states are looking forward to have a proposal from the European Commission and are ready to discuss and are also ready or open to approve this program extension.
Thank you, Erwin, for giving an insight about this. I think it's nice to see what is expecting the program, knowing that the program is celebrating its 21st birthday. We would be celebrating this year, and in our history, indeed, always the program was growing, and hopefully this positive change would happen this year. And definitely, when it is confirmed, the program will be communicating, and we will organize another info session and dedicated events to communicate and to explain what impact it has to the program and what indeed the approved projects can do about it. Let's have a look to what results we got from the answers to the question of what topics are of interest to our participants. I don't know if we can go back to one slide. Yes. So we can see that 73% of our today's participants, and almost 100 answered to this to the question, say that the greener Europe, the green topic, is the topic that interests them most. The second topic is the social, and the third one is smarter Europe. Erwin, do you have any comments on this?
No, I'm happy to see that the areas also the partner states asked us to focus a little bit on are also mentioned as the top 3 areas here. And yes, we are looking forward to receive many good applications soon.
Mm-hmm. And Nico, I will welcome you now as well, because you will now go into the details to explain indeed what the topics indeed matter for Interreg Europe, and explain how the all the regions indeed can benefit from the interregional cooperation via the interregional cooperation projects. And let's have a look then to the second slide about what challenges are currently relevant in your region. And we can see that it's climate, sustainability, tourism, green and digital, and industrial transition are the ones that are the most visible. Any comments on this?
Well, I think you will see it correspond to the priority of our program. So there's no real surprise. I'm just a bit surprised how popular is Greener Europe. I think it's also a good sign. In our previous years, it was rather the smarter Europe that was a bit stronger. But I think we all know that the world is changing, and we need to work more on environmental considerations, of course.
Okay. I think with this, I would like to thank you to Erwin. And by the way, if you still have questions to Erwin or Nico or Elena, you can post them in the Slido. We could see that there were few questions, but I will take them on board after the relevant presentations. And I think we can then move forward. And I would like to give a floor to Nico, who will talk about 10 things you really need to know about the Interreg Europe program in relation to the interregional cooperation funding. Project funding.
Thank you very much, Irma. I hope you can all hear me well. So I have the pleasure to go a bit deeper now in the presentation of the program, and especially on the projects. My colleague Elena will develop a bit more what is related to the policy learning platform. So to do so, to dive a bit deeper in the program, as Irma said, we selected 10 remarkable features or 10 remarkable points of Interreg Europe. And again, as Irma said, do not hesitate to raise questions after this presentation, because it's not always easy to go in all the details of this program. But we wanted to start with a very straightforward feature that in a way, Erwin has already more or less mentioned, is the geographical scope of this program. Because Interreg Europe is the only Interreg program where all EU regions are eligible. And we have also 2 associated partners, which are Norway and Switzerland. So this feature is very attractive for the regions, because especially if you're involved in transnational or cross-border cooperation with Interreg Europe, you can go much beyond. You can open your horizon and work with any regions interested in Europe. So this is, of course, a very interesting element of the program. But beyond the geographical coverage, we wanted to insist a bit more on what Erwin has already introduced. It's a program rationale. And this program's rationale derive from the program objective, which are set in the EU regulation for Interreg Europe. And the EU regulations say that this Interreg program has a very ambitious objective. It is there to improve regional development policies. And how we do this? We do this mainly through the identification and transfer of good practices among EU regions. So all this sounds maybe very abstract to you. In fact, it's very easy to understand. This program helps policymakers involved in regional development. They help them to find new solutions to the challenge they face, because very often regions in Europe, most of the time they face common challenge, whether it's related to climate change adaptation, or to support to SMEs, or to social inclusion. We really gain more knowledge by exchanging with others, and we really find new solutions when we exchange on these challenges with others. So this rationale is very important because it has 2 main consequences. The first one is that this program, compared to other EU programs, is primarily dedicated to public authorities, meaning to the organizations that are in charge of the regional development policies. And secondly, this program has a core focus on exchange of experience activities, capacity building activities, everything that allows you to meet and learn from other people. It can be workshops, seminars, study trips, staff exchanges. And we are not an investment program. We are not directly a research program. These two elements makes us very different, fundamentally different from other forms of cooperation. In particular, for those of you who may come from the cross-border and transnational cooperation program, you have to be aware of these core differences if you're interested in Interreg Europe. Let's come to the topics that are covered. And again, we have already tackled that a bit at the beginning. Again, the program is very straightforward, not only in its geography, but also in its architecture, because there's only one single priority now in the program. And this priority is fully dedicated to capacity building. Since capacity building can apply to any field of regional development, in fact, the program has become very open now. And you see that all the topics are reflected now in these 6 icons, the 6 topics, which in fact represent the existing menu of the cohesion policy. If you look at the ERDF regulation, you will have all the details behind these topics. And more or less, as I said, as long as it's relevant to regional development, it's very likely that the topic will be relevant to Interreg Europe. Nevertheless, the member states have decided still to apply a concentration principle, meaning that a majority of the funds are allocated to priority topics. And you see these priority topics with the arrow. They are under the Smarter Europe, under the Greener Europe, and partly under the More Social Europe. We don't think it will be an issue to reach this concentration principle, because anyway, the demand from the regions, from you, from the local and the regional authorities, they mainly come under these topics. Another important element for the program, which makes it a bit unique, is that it is closely related to the cohesion policy. And what I mean by the cohesion policy is the structural funds implementation in the regions and in the member state through the operational program and through what we call the investment for jobs and growth. Interreg Europe has, again, an ambitious objective to try to help also for a better implementation of these funds. And how is it reflected in our projects? If you're interested in a project, you will need to identify which main policy you would like to improve in the different regions. And there's a rule in our program that says that at least one of these policy needs to be an investment for jobs and growth program. So this is, again, something very specific to us. You would not find this, for instance, in Urbact or in other program. And this is where we are, again, closely related to the structural funds. And there is a bit this idea of helping the managing authority to better implement their operational program at the regional or even national level. You may remember at the beginning, I mentioned we are an exchange of capacity building, exchange of experience program. So it's mainly soft cooperation activities. However, it's not always enough to visit people, to meet people, to analyze a good practice. Sometimes you need really to try things. So we have also more possibility to learn by doing. And now in this new program, it's possible to propose pilot actions even from the start of the project, which was not possible in the past. But there's also a possibility at midterm of the project to propose pilot actions. If I may, Irma, I may already answer partly to the question I saw in the Slido, because one of you was asking about IT development and IT tools. There's very, very, very little element of this in Interreg Europe, apart, of course, from the project website. The only IT development you may see is sometimes under the pilot actions. This can happen that you may try to test, I don't know, a new cyber center for the citizens, for the digital divide. And here you may have a few IT developments. But again, the investment in infrastructure, in this kind of things is very, very limited in our program. Another particular feature is the fact that our projects are implemented in 2 phases. I think this is, again, quite unique in the Interreg landscape. I don't know any other program that do the same, but we have the core phase, the most important, of course, will last 3 years, where the exchange of experience, the capacity building takes place. And hopefully, at the end of the 3 years, the regions are in a position to improve their public intervention based on what they learn from the other regions. But we don't want to stop there. We want to still work with our projects 1 year more to try to grasp a bit more of what happened after the policy improvement, what after on the ground, on the territory. We call that in our jargon the territorial effect. So sometimes we get very interesting information from our projects on the even the jobs created sometimes, or the CO2 emissions saved that follow the policy improvement after a new project is financed or a new call is launched. So we would like, we want to monitor also this aspect of the project as much as we can. Of course, it's limited because the follow-up phase lasts only 1 year. Who should be involved is a core question in our program. And you can see it from 2 angles. You can see it from a pure legal status point of view, a pure eligibility status point of view. And you have here on the slide who can apply to the funding. We have, of course, the public authorities. There are even the core target group, as Erwin explained at the beginning. But we have also the public law bodies or body governed by public laws. This can be, for instance, regional development agencies or environmental agencies in the different member states. And finally, we have a status of private non-profit bodies. I saw again that we had a question from an NGO. An NGO may sometimes qualify as a private non-profit bodies. Or we have also sometimes chambers of commerce in certain countries are considered as private non-profit bodies, or cluster organizations also. What is sure is that if you have any doubt with your status, whether you are eligible, you need to contact your member states, your national point of contact. Only the partner states can confirm your status and whether or not you are eligible to the program. More importantly for us, you can look at who should come to the program from a qualitative point of view. And what is fundamental in our program is what we call the policy relevance of the partnership. So there's a new requirement in this period, which is to impose the participation of the policy responsible authorities, meaning the authorities that are responsible for the policies that are mentioned in the project, that are addressed in the project. And in the perfect case, in the ideal world, these authorities should be involved as partners. So for instance, if you address the sustainable mobility plan of the city of Sofia, we would like the city of Sofia to become a partner in the project. And not maybe the transport agency, who is more an intermediary organization. However, we know that it's not always possible, but at least for 50% of the policy addressed in a project, the policy responsible authority should come as a partner. When it's not possible, still this organization should come in the project as what we call an associated policy authority. So this is much lighter because there's no financial commitment. You need to provide a letter of support. And still we will monitor during the lifetime of the project whether or not this associated policy authority comes and participates to some of the activities of the project. But you see, this is what makes our program very, very specific, is that we are targeted at policymakers, at the organizations that are in charge of the regional development policies. In addition to this very important requirement, we have also the obligation to create a stakeholder group in each region, because the public authority is not alone in developing the policies and in the policy-making process. You need to involve the ecosystem that is relevant for your topic. So you need to involve all the stakeholders that are relevant to increase the chance that there will be policy improvement at the end of the learning. I come back on the geographical coverage, not in relation to the eligibility area, but from another requirements that we have on project level. In the past 20 years of cooperation, we realized that a lot of applications that were submitted to us were coming from existing transnational programs. For instance, from the MED program, or from the Central Europe program, or from the Baltic program. And unfortunately, this is not sufficient for us. If you apply to Interreg Europe, you really need to go beyond these transnational areas, or the areas where who you work usually. And to do this, we have defined 4 areas in the program, as you see on the screen, and the different countries of the different area. And to be eligible, you need to have at least one partner from each of these areas. So we really want to impose this broad coverage and avoid financing, again, transnational partnerships. In addition, we attach importance to a mix with more and less advanced regions. This is where we are a program of the cohesion policy, and we would really like to put this solidarity principle into practice, and this works usually really well, this mix of different level of development of all the regions. We should not forget about the funding. This is, of course, very important, starting with the co-financing rates. We have different co-financing rates depending on the status or the location of the organization. So for the public bodies or body governed by public law, it's a 80% co-financing rate, whereas it's 70% if you are a private non-profit from the European Union. For Norway, it's a 50% co-financing rate, and we are managing directly this funding. However, for the Swiss funding, this is not managed by the program directly. So you need to approach your national contact point or even the canton, because this is managed at the regional level in Switzerland for the Swiss funding. And when you look at the financial rules, we have tried to even further simplify the way to implement the budget and the financial management of the project. This is not only reflected in the lump sum for preparation costs that we had already before. We have simplified the way to calculate the staff cost. And more importantly, we have flat rates. Also, the flat rate for office and administration was already existing. It's a flat rate in relation to the staff cost. But what is new is that we have also now a flat rate for the travel and accommodation cost, which is also 15% of the staff cost. And all this simplification will make your life, the life of the project, much easier in terms of financial improvement. And they would also lead to reducing the number of controls that will be done for the projects. Last but not least, a lot of you were interested, I think, in the call for proposal from what we saw in the first poll. So I wanted to tell you that we already organized a first call in the first semester of last year, 2022. We received quite a reasonable number of application forms, 134. 74% of them were eligible. But what is much more striking to us is the success rate, because more than one out of two were finally approved by our member states. So it's a 50% success rate, which is already for us an achievement, a great achievement. I would only give you, as a matter of comparison, if you look at the 2007-2013 period, in the first call of Interreg 4C, we received 500 applications and recommended and approved only 40 at the end. So this was an 8% success rate. So you can imagine the frustration created at that time. But you see here that our program has become much more mature, and that the rules, it's true that there's a lot of rules with the policy responsible authority, with the geographical coverage, but they really work well, this rule, because they lead to much better quality applications at the end of the day. More important for you maybe is a second call. So this will be open very soon on the 15th of March, where the portal will be open to work on your application. And it will last 12 weeks, a bit longer than the first call, with a closing date on the 9th of June. And we expect the decision on the second call, hopefully by the end of the year, December 2023. The good news is that all topics are open, so it's a very open call again. And all the information is published on our website. You can download in particular the terms of reference and of course the program manual, which is very important. And I'm sure Irma will get back to the launch event in Stockholm on the 15th of March, where you are more than welcome. Thank you very much. This is it for me. I hope I was not too long, and I'm very happy to answer any possible question. Thanks a lot.
Indeed, Nico, it's really great that our participants are very active. They are posting the questions, and after your presentations, there are several questions we received, and I will read louder to give a voice of our audience. There was one question posted on the chat via the Zoom, but that it would be easier for us to manage and display. We would like to ask all of you to send the questions via the Slido tool. But I will read it out, the one that is from the Zoom as well. And you were talking about, Nico, simplifications that were done in order to allow indeed easier project management in terms of the budget. And there is one question: why we do not have a real cost for the staff? Why indeed it's now rather a flat rate?
So maybe there's a misunderstanding, because for the staff cost, it's still real cost. So all the people working on the projects will be fully eligible. Their total salary plus employees costs. So you should not worry about this. The staff cost will remain fully eligible. And by the way, the staff costs are even essential in Interreg Europe, because it's mainly about learning from each other and having the civil servants or the employees of the public administration involved in this cooperation. So usually it's even the biggest budget lines in our project. The flat rate applies to administration and travel and accommodation in relation to the staff cost.
Thank you. Yeah, I think now it's clear for everyone that after this explanation. In relation to the budget, we have another question. What is the average budget for the lead partner? Do you have any insights about this, Nico?
I start realizing that I should invite in my colleague Petra to come because I'm not a specialist of the finance, but at least this general question I can try to answer. The average budget for the lead partner depends on so many parameters, you know, how many partners you have in your project, from which country are you. What we know is that approximately the average ERDF budget per partner is around 200,000. Let's say 180,000. Of course, the lead partner gets higher budget because he has higher responsibilities and higher tasks in the projects. But I would say that the average budget for a lead partner in terms of ERDF is between 200,000 and 300,000, something like that.
Okay, we can see, we will take now the most popular question, the one which was voted most for, and it's: is a LEADER program eligible as the policy instrument related to the investment for jobs and growth goal program?
No. You have to be very careful. Investment for jobs and growth programs are defined by the regulation, and we used to call them the operational program, either at regional or national level. They are financed through ERDF and ESF, while LEADER is part of the agricultural policy. So they are not part of what we call the investment for growth and jobs programs. You need to be very careful about this. So if you put a LEADER program, which is possible, by the way, in the past we were much more careful with that, but a LEADER program can be a policy instrument addressed by a region in a project. You will have to say no to the question: is it an investment for jobs and goal program?
Could the policy instruments be interregional instruments that is involving more than one regional authority?
It's very difficult for me to understand this because already it's quite complex. If you go focus on a city level or a region level or a county level, interregional cooperation is complex, it's multicultural. I would not advise you to go into complex arrangement. The only interregional instruments, it's not really interregional, that we have addressed in the past is cross-border programs. We have helped Interreg A programs to work together and to improve. But in this new period, it should really rather be the Interact mission. And ourselves, we should concentrate on what is intra-regional or intra-national. So I'm not sure what is meant exactly by interregional instruments, but we would not really recommend this kind of arrangement.
Another question related to the policy instruments sounds as following: can SECAP of city be the policy instrument to be addressed, and accordingly the municipality of the project partner?
I think we can say yes to this question. I don't know if we have already SECAP in our I think we have. And of course, I think the municipality is then in charge. So this is fully possible. It's an opportunity for me to highlight that the notion of region is very open in our program. We address a lot of administrative level. That's the reason why I can already answer to the next one. In smaller country, of course, the national public authority can become a partner, even a ministry, as long as it is clearly related to regional development policy. But we have projects where a ministry of a national level work with a municipality. We are very open in the composition of the partnership in this regard.
And we have another question related about eligibility. Are SMEs eligible partners?
No, they are not, because they are for profit, and SMEs are not directly eligible. You need to understand that it's not to annoy people, but it's because it derives from the program rationale. This program is about improving public policies. So the SMEs, if, for instance, you work on topics related to SME competitiveness, I don't know, the tourism sector in my region, of course, these SMEs can participate in the stakeholder groups and can have their voice heard through the stakeholder group, but they will never receive directly ERDF funding from Interreg Europe.
Could private companies be part of a consortium, for example, to take care of communication, marketing, or finance of the project?
I think maybe there's a confusion between partner and external expert. As partner, as I just said, it's not possible. Private partner cannot receive ERDF. But of course, I was myself managing a project in the past in a public authority. I subcontract certain parts like the communication to a private company. I had to launch a tender, etc., of course. And through this, as long as the tender rules are respected, you can, of course, work with consultants and with private companies.
Nico, we have other questions coming up, but I think we can do a short break. You were talking in your presentation about the interregional cooperation projects, and I think it would be good that we watch a real video of one project we co-financed to see indeed what is this interregional cooperation project from the eyes of the project implementers. And this video will be about the CLEAN project, where 9 project partners address the energy transition topic and want to reduce the energy emissions for working with the buildings. Before we watch the video, I will also invite everyone to answer to the poll, which is active now, and you can tell us if you plan to apply within the second call of proposals or not. So let us know, and let's watch a video, and after that we will be taking questions again with Nico related to the projects.
Did you know buildings are responsible for 40% of energy consumption in Europe, and older buildings consume between 8 and 12 times as much heating oil as new ones? There is a simple solution: CLEAN, or Technologies and Open Innovation for Low Carbon Regions, is an interregional cooperation project funded by Interreg Europe. CLEAN will increase energy efficiency in housing and public infrastructure by 4% through technology, open innovation, and improved low-carbon policy instruments. 9 partner regions across Europe, with a mix of different climates, city-urban areas, and levels of development, are working together to improve the capacity of their policy instruments that address energy efficiency. The project facilitated 30 good practices through the CLEAN project partnership. As a result of interregional learning and transfer of innovative policy and solutions, all partners have launched and published their regional action plans, which have been developed and inspired by some of the good practices shared within the partnership. For example, the energy efficient solutions in schools and hospitals in the Savinjka region, Västernorrland County and Campania region. Energetic smart building in the city of San Sebastian. Street lighting retrofit with LED in North Karelia and Donegal. And serious game renovation challenge in Normandy. The regional action plans will streamline policy instruments and stimulate effective engagement between public authorities and property owners, research centres and companies, introducing innovative energy efficiency solutions. Find out more at interregeurope.eu/clean.
Yes, so now we got some insights on how Interreg Europe project is constructed, what are indeed the activities, and we can go back to the questions. We see that universities are very active and they are asking, and there are several questions, if they can be involved, how they can be involved. Maybe Nico, you could comment on this. Can they be involved in Interreg Europe projects?
Again, I would come back to what I explained under the slides. You can look at this from the legal status point of view or from the qualitative point of view. From the legal status point of view, they will always be eligible. I think most universities in Europe are public equivalent bodies or public bodies, so there's no issue at all in terms of eligibility. The real issue comes when you look at the rationale of the program and the fact that we are focusing exclusively on improving regional development policies. And there, the universities, as far as I know, they are usually not directly in charge of regional development policies. They can be a very important stakeholders in some of these policies on innovation, research, environment sometimes. So the challenge for them compared to other programs of the EU, in our program, they would most of the time need to come with the regional authorities that are in charge of the policy. We have also some possibility of having advisory partner. It's a partner that is not addressing a policy instrument directly, but helps the whole consortium because they are specialists in the domain or they help with the communication or whatever. So sometimes university or academic institutions can also be involved as advisory partner. But I want to be clear to universities, we are facing issues currently with the fulfillment of conditions for the first call project. So most of the time, it's difficult for them to demonstrate their policy relevance to our program.
Mm-hmm. Nico, in your presentation, you talked about the partnership, and we have a question: what is the minimum number of partners to be involved in the Interreg Europe project?
Yes, so in eligibility terms, as you saw from the geographical requirements, the 4 areas, it's 4 regions as a minimum. But again, in terms of quality, we say that the ideal partnership is between 5 to 8 regions, because we think 4 is a bit limited for the variety, the diversity of the experience. From 5, I think qualitatively, it starts to be more interesting. I think the average number of regions in our project is around 7 to 8. Yeah.
Before moving to the next presentation and also the poll results, we will take the last question, the most popular question indeed, which sounds as following: I don't really understand the investment for growth and job and goals. Where can I find the instrument and info about it?
I would advise to go directly to the DG Regio website, the European Commission, the Directorate General in charge of the regional policy, because all information can be found there. You can even look at this program. Sometimes you can see them. If you want also, you can have a look at our program manual, because there's a link to this website, and we try to explain a bit better the investment for jobs and growth program. But this is a very important point for Interreg Europe indeed to have a clarity on this.
Nico, we will keep answering the other questions in written, because we have our colleague Anna, who is indeed behind the scenes answering the questions, and you will also support her. Before we go to our next presenter, Elena, let's have a look how many people indeed are interested and plan to submit the project applications within the second call of proposals. We had running a poll open, and I can see that 70 answers were already submitted, 71. We were asking if you are planning to submit a project application during the second call, and if we could see the results now on the screen. Yes, we see that half of them, so it means that 36, 36, at least from the ones who answered, say that they are planning to submit application during the second call for proposals. Are you glad, Nico, to see this result? Nico doesn't hear me anymore. The question was, are you happy to this result that 50% of our online session participants are planning to submit an application during the second call?
Yes, I'm sorry, I was discussing about the questions that were submitted with my colleague. But if you look at the beginning that there was a high interest for the second call, I think it's not too bad that 1 out of 2 we didn't discourage first, and that's half of the participants on these ages. So I think it's quite a good result.
Yes, thank you, Nico, for this and your presentation. And now we will move forward with our info session agenda, and we'll talk about the policy learning platform services. We can see that from this slide, indeed, that 10% do not plan to apply during the second call, and 38 don't know. Indeed, the Interreg Europe program is not only about the project funding. We offer much more. And for the ones that are not eager to engage for years in the interregional cooperation project, it will be Elena presenting what we can offer. Before her presentation, we will watch the introductory video about our policy learning platform and the services.
Imagine if you could easily find solutions to make your region or city smarter, greener, better connected, more social, and closer to citizens. The Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform can help you access knowledge about the latest policy trends, discover expert-validated good practices from all over Europe, find solutions in our peer review, get tailored support from our expert team. We can connect you with the right people and organizations. Together, we will find ways to solve your region's or city's challenges. Start your policy learning journey today.
Elena, hello. With this online session participants, we saw what Interreg Europe's policy learning platform can offer in a very short really overview. And now it's really your turn to give us a presentation and get us convinced that the ones who say we don't want to apply for the Interreg Europe project can benefit what indeed they can get from the policy learning platform.
Thank you, Irma, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, of course, I will do that. It's certainly for those who do not want to apply, but also for those who want to apply, because we offer services for them too. So let me do this and this, and I hope. Yes, and I hope you can see my screen now.
Yes.
So we will spend the next few minutes to look into, indeed, one of the most innovative features of Interreg Europe. As Erwin mentioned a few moments ago, the policy learning platform is the knowledge management tool of the program. It is open to every policymakers across Europe. It is accessible to all organizations, being them partners or not partners in Interreg Europe projects. So indeed, no funding opportunities for sure this time, but loads of other opportunities for growth, to increase your professional skills, to increase your competencies on one or the other topic of your interest. So how does it work? Yes. So at the platform, we take stock of all the knowledge, all the good practices, all the information coming from Interreg Europe projects, but also beyond Interreg Europe projects. We take the best out of it, we analyze it, and we make this knowledge available to any interested person across Europe. And we do this with several types of activities that we like to categorize under three main axes of actions, as you see on the screen. So access to knowledge, access to people, and access to expert support. In a few seconds, we will go into each of these three axes and I will show you a little bit what it means. But before doing that, freezing frame for a moment, because I can even hear you sometimes in my head. Some of you may be thinking, please not again another platform. Yes, we got sometimes these comments, but I would like you, in order to avoid you being in this negative spiral of thinking, I would like to introduce you to one specific feature of this platform. And the feature is our team. Every step of the way, the moment you enter the Interreg Europe community, the moment you start interacting with the platform features, you are accompanied, you are welcomed by our staff, by our experts, by our management team, who are there to facilitate all the activities, animate the platform actions, listen to your needs, to what you are looking for, and try as much as possible to provide with dedicated specific answers. So I would say that it's not like any other platform, because the specificity is really that we strive for a genuine, I would say, personalized approach here. So let's go to see the first category of activities is called access to knowledge. What do we do here? So our thematic experts draft a number of publications, policy briefs, news, stories that are there available for you to dive deep into one or the other subject that is relevant for, of course, regional development policies. And everything starts from this very interesting feature of Interreg Europe, which is the database of good practices that you see is accessible on the Interreg Europe website. And this is where all this wealth of policy solutions is available for you to check. And not only those are good practices, but they are expert validated good practices, meaning that they have been subject to an analysis of our experts that decide to publish them in our database depending on a number of criteria. So their relevance, their transferability, their potential, their success. At this stage, I would love to ask you a question, which is, what is your favorite way of learning? Some of you may want to, when you want to understand a little better a subject related to your work, you want to look into specific documents. Others, you may want to call a colleague. Others want to, I don't know, participate in an online event, networking workshop, etc. But I would say at least a few of us, the first step of the way is perhaps start from Google. Okay, you want to know something about circular public procurement, you start looking into what a search engine in the internet is telling you. And this is where everything starts. Google or any other search engine sends you a long list of links, and then you start clicking on the first one, then you start clicking on the second, on the third. And then what happens is that you may get lost, you may get bored. The worst case scenario, you don't even remember what you are actually looking for. And this is where the platform really can be of help, because we can filter the information for you. You come to the platform, you ask a specific question. I would like to know more about circular public procurement. What does exist in Europe already? What are other regions doing on this subject? Well, there is a thematic expert in the platform that already gives you specific references on this subject by providing you with the material that exists already in Interreg Europe. So again, practice-proven, successful examples that are out there through sending you links to specific policy briefs, but also recordings of webinars that we have made, and the number of good practices as well. So I would really highly encourage you to test the policy help desk. Second group of activities that we have is called access to people. Erwin mentioned that earlier. We have a large community of practitioners in Interreg Europe that share the same challenges that you may be facing in your own region, and some of them may have also found solutions to those challenges. So our objective is to connect you with those practitioners that may give you some inspiration, some input to work better in your own territory on the ground. So in this scope, we organize a number of events online, of course, webinars, discussions, but also we are back on site. For instance, starting from the second semester of 2022, indeed, we have organized a number of thematic workshops, and this is an example that you see on the screen. We have been to Helsinki last November to discuss digital innovation hubs and demonstrators. We looked into the Helsinki system somehow, so the different levels at the local municipality, the regional government, and the national government, how they coordinate in order to provide a good environment to build and develop digital innovation hubs. Just for you to know, okay, of course, in relation to our events, there are some upcoming that could be of interest to you. Next 8th of March, we are talking about innovation vouchers online with a webinar. And in April, we will continue our successful mobility webinar series with this time a focus on electric fleets and electric car sharing. And again, we are back on site. We will go to Ghent in Belgium, end of May, beginning of June, and we will discuss urban regeneration policies. So you're very welcome to join us and stay tuned, because you will soon have information on this on the, of course, Interreg Europe website. Last category of activities that we organize at the Policy Learning Platform. This is called Access to Expert Support. We also call it our golden services of the platform. We like to call it this way because it's a very specific feature of the platform, which is somehow makes it also different from other types of networking or information source opportunities that exist out there. The two types of activities that we organize under this category are called peer reviews and matchmaking sessions. And they are meant to respond to the specific need of one single organization. And the specific need of one single organization equals tailored approach, tailored support. And this is exactly what we do. There is a regional council, for instance, asking us to know more about culture and creative industries, because they want to develop a roadmap in the region together with all the local stakeholders that are involved in the development of this policy. And they want to know what exists out there in Europe. What are other regions doing on the same topic in order not to reinvent the wheel, usual principle. And what we do is that we look into all the Interreg Europe community, and we select a number of people that we call peers, that come from comparable organizations that share similar challenges, that have already found maybe some interesting solutions or interesting ways, and they have sufficient expertise and knowledge, of course. And we bring them together at the premises of the beneficiary organization, and we discuss for a very intense 2 days meeting the specific challenges of the beneficiary organization that is looking for information on culture and creative industries. We looked in depth into their context, and on the basis of this exchange, we create a list of, we call them policy recommendations, which is simply a number of very concrete hands-on advice that we can provide to this organization that can be implemented basically from day one after the end of the peer review. The whole process is very simple, because it's sufficient to ask a very, very simple peer review request. I don't even like to call it application form, because I don't want it to be confused with the classic, more traditional ways of doing projects in Interreg Europe. This is a peer review request through, of course, an application. It's a very, very small and very easy one to do. And the process is also very fast because in about a month, you get the validation of this application. We also accompany throughout the process. We accompany the applicant, and then we start working together. It's really like a very, cooperative way of doing things. On the screen, you see also the link where you can find further information on this, but of course, I also warmly invite you to ask me any questions or connect with me later on. Yes, sorry, I forgot to mention the matchmaking sessions. So the matchmaking sessions are basically the same, follow the same principle, but it's a very, like a much smaller type of activity. Instead of a 2 days event, this is a 2 hours meeting, still tailor made, and still for the purpose of helping one specific organization. So the principle is the same. It's just that we maybe just start scratching the surface, and then we will go deeper maybe in a future possible peer review. Example, just for you to understand a little bit better, but I will be very quick. So this peer review happened last December 2022. We went to Croatia to help the town of Korčula, that is situated in an island in Croatia, develop their strategy for an alternative tourism somehow, and to become a smart island. Why? Because they're facing the problem of mass tourism, and in particular, the after-COVID problem of mass tourism. So lack of other types of resources for the economic development of the region. So we discussed with peers coming from Norway, from Estonia, from Finland. We discussed digital nomads, we discussed incubators, we discussed the possibility for the island to become a testbed for startups, etc., etc. So rather hands-on somehow advice provided by organizations that have really experience on the topic. Another example, this was last year. We went to Ireland this time to discuss with the Kilkenny County Council their, let's say, mobility strategy. They wanted to look into their urban planning and to reallocate the space to give more room for public transport, for soft mobility modes, and to restrict the car access to the city. What I like to say here in this peer review is that following our action, following the peer review process, the county council decided to start develop their SAMP, so their Sustainable Urban Mobility Plan. And they have actually kicked it off just a few months after the peer review, taking inspiration from the examples provided by the peers from UK, Greece, and Slovenia, and there was another Irish peer. This is the last slide on my side, a little bit of a recap and one little last cherry on the cake. So what you can get from the policy learning platform. As I said, the wealth of policy solutions at hand, very easy to access, hands-on advice and inspiration. I think I use the term hands-on very often during the last minutes, from practitioners to practitioners. So people that really share, our colleagues, basically sharing the same challenges across Europe. And an active and committed team of experts that are really at your disposal to listen to your needs and really try to help as much as possible. And this last point, I also wanted to highlight. You can have an active voice to co-shape the platform's agenda. What do we mean? We mean with this that the platform remains a very flexible tool where we try to accommodate the needs of our community members as much as possible by listening to what they propose in terms of topic to tackle under webinars or a policy brief, and we build basically our work plan according to these needs that we collect with different tools, surveys, but also focus groups or other type of actions. So this is all on my side. Thank you very much. Do not hesitate to look into the platform services in the website, but also, of course, connect with me. I'm always available. And maybe I would kindly ask you, our team, to launch this last video, maybe, that gives an example of what happened in our very first peer review. It was our pilot.
Indeed, Elena, as it's one of our core services, we will watch a video about the peer reviews, but we also have an active poll running, and we ask everyone who is joining today's info session to tell us what policy learning opportunities and services interest the most. So after watching the video, we will then check indeed what are the interests of our info session participants, and we also see, I saw also there are a few questions posted in the chat, so we will be back there to answer those. But now, yes, let's watch the video.
As the second pillar or leg of the Interreg Europe program, the policy learning platform offers different services, in particular for regions which may not have the possibility to participate in Interreg funded projects. And now we have launched a new service, the peer review tool. If you are facing challenges at home in your managing authority or region, you can call upon other regions, their expertise, to help you out, to come to your region, to visit you, to analyze your situation, and to get recommendations based on the expertise and knowledge of the partner regions.
For Hauts-de-France, we have identified 5 regions which have decided to dispatch 6 experts to our first peer review pilot. The first day is there for the peers to understand everything about the challenge that the region is having. For that, the region is making presentations, the peers can ask questions, and there are also some external stakeholders related to the specific policy challenge of the region that are invited, that the peers can question. On the second day, the peers consult among themselves, come up with recommendations, illustrate these recommendations with concrete examples and experiences, maybe good practices from their own region and from their own experience background, and present these recommendations to the host region.
We've been working a lot during these 2 days, and we've got lots of ideas and solutions which we need to analyze, and we'll need to take the time to look at them very precisely.
I think it was a learning experience, it was a shared experience that we had today with the region Hauts-de-France. I personally learned a lot from the way they are managing things.
It's increased networking possibilities, and it's of course critical, but it's also constructive.
I think a lot of regions are working in isolation, and there is a need for people to come together, whether through a peer review or other format, to share experiences and so that they can learn from one another.
We really strongly recommend using the peer review as a solution to quickly solve the issues you have with your operational programs.
If you face a policy challenge in the implementation of your structural funds, then don't hesitate to submit your application for a peer review. It's, I think, a very rewarding exercise, and we're looking forward to seeing your applications. We're here for you.
I think it was nice to get some insights on how the peer review is happening, and indeed what we can expect if we decide that we want a peer review to be hosted in, let's say, a specific region, and how the policy learning platform can help. There was one question, Elena, in the chat asking indeed who can benefit from the peer review. Indeed, who are the beneficiaries?
Yes, so this is, of course, Interreg Europe, so the same principles apply. We are there to work on the improvement of regional development policies. So our main target groups are always policymakers at the local, at the regional, at the national level that have the legitimacy to work and draft and implement, design and implement regional development policies. Mm-hmm. Of course, then they can be accompanied, and this is also, I also like to say it, same principle as for the projects. We very much believe in the stakeholder involvement. So it is important also the peer review that there is one applicant somehow that is, yes, a policymaker, but of course it is accompanied by a number of local stakeholders during the peer review process.
Mm-hmm. And Elena, could you confirm that anyone can use the policy learning platforms and the services, and there is no need to be involved in the project or such?
Yes, exactly. This is the beauty of the policy learning platform, because you can, whatever you are, partner or not partner, you can, of course, access all services of the platform. So it is really like a very open approach that we like very much.
Mm-hmm. And we see that Rachel is asking, can a community, if commune asks for a peer review or matchmaking, or it's dedicated to project as such? I think we already answered that it's not limited to the Interreg Europe project. It goes beyond that, and you don't need to be involved in the Interreg Europe project to ask for and to participate in the policy learning platform services.
Yes, yes, and I think it's more like which level, community of communes or regions, anybody. You saw the example, we went to work with the town, a town of Korčula in Croatia, but we also very recently, we are working with the National Ministry for Industry and Trade in the Czech Republic. So any level of administration is welcome to join.
Elena, I think your presentation was very inspiring, and you really, I think, convinced our participants, and they got the message that that Interreg Europe Policy Learning Platform offers a lot of sources of information, and one of them are webinars. And there is a question indeed where we can find a complete list of webinars.
Sure. Okay, so there is on the website, it would be good to maybe show it, but I let my colleagues decide upon this. On the website, there is a section called Find Policy Solutions.
Yes.
And under Find Policy Solutions, you see all the recordings of the old webinars. I mean, the webinars that have happened. So the recordings are all available there. And of course, you also have the agenda of upcoming events, and this is also available on the website under all news, I think. Irma helped me out with that. Yes, thank you.
Yes, exactly. Indeed, if you go to our website, you can see here there is Get Policy Advice and Find Policy Solutions and Meet Our Community, 3 sections that are related to the policy learning platform services. And with the policy advice, that's the section related to the expert services. The Find Policy Solutions, you will see, you can find the good practices, you can find there the policy briefs, you can find the story and event learnings where the recordings of the past events are published. And it's also very handy that on the left side of this page, you have also the thematic entrance. So if you are interested on the specific topic, for example, the green or connected or social, you click on this and you then will get those resources displayed according this specific topic. And you can further down use the filters. You can see here the filters are on the top, and you can use them to get to the thematic resources that are available on our website. So, Elena, on this, I think we can check very quickly what policy learning platform services are interested to our info session participants. Let's have a look to our poll results, where we asked participants indeed what services they would like to use and interest them. So we should go back to Slido to see it on the screen so that we can quickly get the result. Yes. So we can see that 87% of our session participants want access to knowledge, the policy briefs, news, demand, webinars, reports. 79 are interested in thematic events, networking opportunities, 74 in good practices, and 63 in expert support and policy advice, peer reviews, matchmaking, policy expert. And from 43 that answered, it seems that no one said that they are interested in none of those. So indeed, the interest exists. Maybe any comment on that, Elena?
Yes, no, it's good indeed that those who answered indeed are interested in one or the other feature of the policy platform. It's good to see. In particular, the access to knowledge is always a good starting point, for sure, to explore the services of the platform.
Yeah. Elena, then I would like to thank to you for your presentation. I think now the ones who participate in our info session know how they can benefit from interregional cooperation via the involvement in the interregional cooperation project and also the policy learning platform. Already now on the Slido, we have a poll open where you can provide us feedback on this info session, and you can tell us indeed how you like the session, which would help us to improve the further info sessions we organize. And you can also let us know if there are any specific questions we should talk more in the future. For the ones who are convinced that they want to get to know more about us, for the ones who decided that they already now want to apply for the second call for proposals or in the future, we are organizing an event which will be happening on the 15th of March in Stockholm. And the event is called Europe Let's Cooperate. There, during one day, we offer specific call-related information. And also, there will be a possibility to consult with the Joint Secretariat on your project ideas, to network, to find partners. During the same event, there are also some study visits organized by the Policy Learning Platform to really interesting and sites in Stockholm, where you can discover how various policy and the development topics are addressed by the city. And just to remind that our second call for project proposals will be open on the 15th of March and will run till 9th of June. So if you really want to apply for during this call for proposals, you should hurry up and really start thinking about your partnership and start working on your project application. And during the call, our program is also providing various support and application pack and all related information to the call. It's already published on our website. So I think we can go to the next slide to see what else is upcoming from our side. You can see that during the upcoming month, when the call is open, we are organizing various events to support the ones who want to prepare the project applications. So in February, March, April, there are national info days organized in different countries. So then the information about the Interreg Europe, the basic information about the program is accessible might be accessible also in the local languages. On the 15th March, we are launching the call with Europe Let's Cooperate event in Stockholm. On 24th of March, 5th April, 21, 5 and 19th and 2nd June, we will have the Q&A sessions online. Indeed, those sessions are dedicated to the ones who are preparing the project applications, and you can submit. It's very simple that you can submit then the questions via an online form. And on those days, we give you, it's like a meeting with us, with the Joint Secretariat, where we answer to your questions. And also, there will be 1 week of the webinar series dedicated on project development. It's end of April from 24th to 27th, and all is happening online, where we'll talk in details on how to prepare your project application. I saw that in the chat today, we had a question that we were talking about the financial indeed rules, and the comment was that it's very quick. So recording of this session will be available and we will publish it on our website. You will receive it. But indeed, if you are working on the project application and you need more details about those rules, you should not hesitate to join the webinar series on project development, where one webinar will be dedicated specifically to the finances, another to the partnership, another to the activities, and then the fourth one, it's all about communication. So basically, during the 4 days, you will get a full picture on what is important and what you need to think while preparing the project application. And then about the finances, we will spend indeed 1 hour and a half talking about it, how to construct your project budget. So this is about call-related events. We also have the Policy Learning Platform events, and Elena already mentioned that on 8th of March, we have innovation vouchers to strengthen regional innovation systems. It's an online webinar. We will have the series of webinars on e-mobility. And if you are interested to the workshops happening on the spot, then you should mark in your calendar the 31st of May and 1st of June. And location Ghent, Belgium, there will be an event about covering various topics related to rethinking urban policies organized by the Policy Learning Platform. So probably now, seeing all this, you wonder how to keep an updated info, how to keep indeed up with our news and how not to miss any news from us. And there are two things you can do already now. One, it's to join our online community where you can register via our website, and there you can mark in your preferences that you want to get an update from us, and when there would be relevant events, you will get indeed some updates directly in your dashboard, depending on your interest of the topics and also other interests you have related to the project development on all the Policy Learning Platform services. And another tip I want to give to you is to sign to our newsletter. We send a newsletter once per month. And with this newsletter, indeed, you get then the updates about our upcoming events, about our upcoming activities, and also you would get an information about some of the past activities when the recordings are published. So it's also a very useful tool to get indeed an updates from the program and to see what's coming up. With this, I would like to thank you to participants, to all of you who joined our info session today about the Interreg Europe program. We hope it was useful for you. We hope that you are eager to get more information about us, and you now know what indeed is coming up from us during this year, and you know how to follow up with the updates and where to and how to join our events. A reminder for you to give us feedback via the Slido about this info session, and I think now is time to thank you once more to all of you for an active participation, to thank you for our speakers, Nico, Elena, Erwin, who were there with us to present you the main features about the program. Also to thank you to the ones who were behind the scenes, Anna, who was answering the questions of the chat in written. Also to Mia, Josephine, Louise, who were managing the chat and all the techniques behind the scenes. And a big thank you also to the Committee of the Regions and for being our partner to organize this info session and also allowing to reach some audiences we probably not always reach via our newsletter and community. So to thank you once more to all of you. We are looking forward to see you in our live events, our other online events, and I would like to finish this event with our indeed the credo. We are saying Europe, let's cooperate. Indeed, as it was said in the beginning, cooperation is at the core, and it's always interesting, it's always inspiring to look a little bit further on what others are doing to get this inspiration and to bring it to your own regions. So have a very nice day, and see you in our other events. Bye bye.
Are you a policymaker? Are you looking for new solutions in your region? Are you interested in learning from other European regions facing similar challenges?
With Interreg Europe, you can develop your interregional cooperation project and get co-financing from the European Union. You can team up with other regions in Europe, exchange your experience and improve your regional development policies.
It's about the Policy Learning Platform, a fantastic tool to meet new people and to find solutions for your regions.
At Interreg Europe, we help regions from across Europe to develop and deliver better policies by sharing solutions. You can work on any topic of the EU policy agenda by making Europe greener, smarter, more social, better connected, better governed, or closer to citizens.
It's a program for regions and by regions. Use the opportunities we offer.